On the morning of December 1st, 1948, two men walking along Somerton Beach in Adelaide, Australia, spotted something unusual. A man lying against the sea wall, fully dressed, shoes polished, tie straight, legs crossed at the ankle, as if he had simply leaned back to rest. He hadn't moved since the night before. By the time police arrived, the mystery had already begun, and it would take the world over 70 years to even begin to answer the most basic question. Who was he? The man was approximately 40 to 45 years old, 5 feet 11, lean, muscular build, the kind that suggested a physical profession or military background. His teeth were in excellent condition. His hands showed no signs of manual labor. He was, by all accounts, in peak physical health, and yet he was dead. The initial autopsy was inconclusive. The coroner noted blood in the stomach lining, consistent with ingested poison, but toxicology found nothing, no substance, no identifiable cause. The heart had simply stopped. What unsettled investigators more than the death itself was the absence of everything that should have been there. No wallet, no keys, no identification of any kind, and every single label from his suit, his shirt, his tie had been carefully removed. Police began a methodical search. They circulated photographs. They checked missing persons reports across Australia. They sent inquiries internationally. Nobody came forward. Nobody claimed him. His fingerprints matched no known criminal record in Australia, the UK, or the United States. The clothes he wore were an odd mix. Some items appeared to be American-made, others British. The stitching on a pocket repair used an unusual orange waxed thread, not commercially available in Australia at the time. Whoever had dressed this man had gone to extraordinary lengths to make sure he could not be traced. This wasn't accidental. This was deliberate. 5 months passed. No name, no origin, no motive. The man was buried in an unmarked grave, and then 2 discoveries changed everything. In January 1949, 6 weeks after the body was found, police traced a suitcase at Adelaide railway station to the dead man. Inside, clothes, a shaving brush, shoe polish, scissors, a small knife, a screwdriver. Several items were labeled T. Keane, but investigators could find no record of anyone by that name who matched the description. A tailor brought in to assess the garments confirmed some were American-made. None of it pointed anywhere definitive. But tucked inside that suitcase was a spool of orange waxed thread, an exact match to the repairs on the man's clothing. He had packed this case. He had sewn his own pockets. He had arrived in Adelaide with purpose, and then he had stripped himself of every trace of who he was. In July 1949, 7 months after the discovery of the body, a detective re-examined the dead man's clothing one final time. Inside the fob pocket of his trousers, a hidden pocket sewn tight, they found a tiny slip of paper tightly rolled. On it 2 words, Tamám Shud, Persian, from the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a 12th century collection of poetry. It means, "It is finished." Police launched a public appeal. Within weeks, a man came forward. He had found a copy of the Rubaiyat in the back of his unlocked car, parked near Somerton Beach, the night the man died. On the back cover of that book, barely visible under certain light, were indentations. Someone had pressed hard enough writing on a page above to leave marks in the cardboard. Letters, 5 lines of them, capital letters grouped in clusters. No spaces, no pattern anyone could immediately recognize. The code has never been broken. Inside that same copy of the Rubaiyat, police found a phone number. It belonged to a woman living less than a mile from where the body was found. Her name was Jessie Thompson, known to friends as Jo. Jo was a nurse. She was in her late 20s. She was poised, private, and deeply reluctant to speak. When detectives showed her the plaster cast made of the dead man's face, his features reconstructed for identification, she reacted in a way that stopped them cold. She nearly fainted, but she denied knowing him. She denied any connection, and police inexplicably did not press her further. Years later, investigators discovered that Joe had once given a copy of the Rubaiyat, the same edition, to a man named Alfred Boxall, an Australian soldier she had known during the war. Boxall was eventually found alive. His copy of the book was intact. He was not the Somerton Man. Jo Thomson died in 2007, taking whatever she knew with her. Her son, born around the time of the Somerton Man's death, had physical features that struck investigators as remarkably similar to the dead man's. Ear shape, teeth, coloring. No DNA was ever obtained. The year was 1948. The Cold War was already underway. Soviet intelligence networks were actively operating in Australia. Just months earlier, a Soviet spy ring had been exposed in Canberra. The deliberate removal of all identification, the unbreakable code, the connection to a woman with links to military intelligence circles, the untraceable poison, the phrase, "It is finished," the final words of a man who knew what was coming. The spy theory has never been proven, but it has never been disproven. Some cryptographers believe the letters on the back of the Rubaiyat are the first letters of words in a one-time pad cipher, unbreakable without the key. Others believe they're nothing more than the random notes of a troubled man. What is certain is this: someone went to extraordinary lengths to ensure that if this man died, the world would never know why. In July 2022, Professor Derek Abbott of the University of Adelaide, working alongside forensic genealogist Colleen Fitzpatrick, made an announcement. Using DNA extracted from hairs preserved in the dead man's original plaster cast, taken over 70 years earlier, they had built a family tree of more than 4,000 individuals, and they had found a match. The Somerton Man, they concluded, was almost certainly Carl Webb, an electrical engineer and instrument maker born in Melbourne in 1905, the sixth child of a German-born father and an Australian mother. The last record of Carl Webb in any public document dates to April 1947, when he left his wife. After that, nothing. Until Somerton Beach. South Australian police have not formally confirmed the identification. The cause of death remains officially unknown. The code has not been solved. The connection to Jo Thomson has never been explained. Carl Webb, if that is truly his name, has a name now, but he still has no story. There are cases that get solved. There are cases that go cold. And then there are cases like this one, where the more you learn, the less you understand. A name without a past, a code without a key, a woman who nearly fainted and then said nothing, a poison that left no trace, a note that said, "It is finished." Was he a spy, a man running from something, a man running toward someone? Somerton Beach is still there, the seawall is still there, and the man who died leaning against it, whoever he truly was, has kept his secret for over 70 years. Maybe he always will.